What's up, guys? This is Brave, and I'm back with another review of Grownish. This is season 3, episode 14, and the episode is titled Know Yourself. So let's go ahead and talk about this episode. There was a lot happening in this episode. This is probably one of the best episodes that we've seen since the show has come back. Honestly, I feel like there were scenes in this episode that could have been put in a different episode. And what I mean by that is I feel like the Doug and Jazz situation, that could have been another episode, as well as Sky and Junior. Like, if they would have put like the Sky and Junior situation as well as the Doug and Jazz situations in the same episode, I would have been fine with that. Just because I feel like there were certain things that still could have been unpacked within those situations. But let's go ahead and talk about the episode to begin with. So we start this episode off with Vivek. He is hanging out with his girl Heidi, and I just feel like Heidi came on this show one way, but who she is a whole other person. And here's what I mean by this. Because baby girl was so upset because Vivek could have been a drug dealer. Because you know how he was like, oh, I sell drugs. And like her whole face had changed. Like as if that was the worst thing he could have done. But at the end of the day, you're out here popping Molly. So you don't mind taking the drugs as long as he isn't the dealer. Get out my face. Get out my face with this Heidi. But anyways, so we now have the dealer is now trying drugs. Yeah, didn't see that coming for Vivek. Honestly, this entire situation happening for Vivek, I did not expect. We have been waiting for a storyline from Vivek, and I don't think that any of us were expecting this. Let me know if you guys were expecting this for Vivek. So basically, he pops Molly. And, he is on a trip right now. He is on a journey and a ride. And next thing you know, after the club or lounge, wherever they were, they end up going back to somebody's house. Who? I have no idea. And next thing you know, it's multiple people in this room. And one by one, they start to leave. And then it's just one guy, Heidi, and Vivek. And next thing you know, I think it was Vivek and Heidi was making out first. Or maybe Heidi and the guy. Actually, I think Heidi and that guy were making out first. Then Heidi and Vivek. And then next thing you know, Vivek and oh boy. And I was like, oh, okay. This is where we're going with this. So, show starts. Vivek he's talking to Aaron and Doug. And he's like, yeah, last night was wild. It was crazy. All this stuff. Baby boy is hype, right? Because he had a threesome. So Doug, who has been eating this entire time, like I feel like Doug legit has put on like 15 pounds because all he's been doing is eating since him and Jazz have broken up. And he's like, you can have my noodles, man, because I don't even deserve it because you had a threesome. I didn't. I'm like, I cannot. So he's going on and on about how he had this threesome, how like first him and Heidi kiss, and then him and Alex kiss. So at this point, you have Aaron talking about some Alex. So was she like thick? And I'm just like, what is happening? Like, first of all, none of them have been with anyone who's like that thick. Well, Jazz is kind of, she's small, but she's still kind of thick. But like, Aaron, shut up. So, at this point, Vivek is like, well, he's on the rowing team. And at that point, this conversation completely changed. Because Doug and Aaron were under the impression that Vivek had a threesome with 2 ladies and 1 guy. Nope, it was actually 2 guys, 1 woman. So at that point, they were just kind of like, wait, what? I'm sorry, don't understand, cannot compute. You did what? They were really lost. one thing that I must say that I didn't care for was the fact that the guy was on the rowing team. Like, I don't know what it is with Grownish, but why is everyone hooking up with someone who is on campus? Like, couldn't he just be some random guy that they ran into that night? Like, I find it interesting that Jazz hooked up with someone who was on the track team, and then now we have Vivek and Heidi hooking up with somebody who's on the rowing team. I'm like, okay, whatever. And that's what we're going to do, Grownish, even though that guy didn't look like he would be on the rowing team. But we're just going to let that go. We're just going to let that go. So we then go over to the lady's house, or I shouldn't say the ladies because Vivek lives there as well. The ladies plus Vivek's house, and they are toasting it up with mimosas because who's there? Nomi's back, you guys. Are we really excited about this though? Like, I feel like she was very useful for this episode, but also she has an entire storyline within this situation that I'm about to go into that needs to be unpacked. So, she's like, yeah, I'm glad to be back home. The ladies are happy that she's there. And next thing you know, she's like, let's go over, the changing and feeding schedules. I said, excuse me, sweetheart. Listen, like I've said previously, I don't know who or why they thought it was smart to bring Nomi back with a baby to live in a house full of college students. Like, I remember when I was like 20 years old, and I'm not that much older than that, but I'm just saying, like, I remember when I was 20 years old, I did not want to be bothered with a crying baby. Or if my friends had kids, I didn't want to be bothered with them as well either. Like, come on now. So the fact that, first of all, she's moving back in, I don't understand. Secondly, when is she supposed to start school? Because it looks like they're in the middle of a semester. Like, when are you going back to school? Or, like, are you only doing online classes? Nomi, let us know what's going on. Because I feel like you moved back in at a very strange time. So, back to her in this feeding and changing time schedule that she tried to come up with, all the ladies dip out. And, like, Sky is like, listen, I have no interest in changing your child. You're on your own. So, at this point, Junior shows up. Zoe's little brother who happened to have a thing for Sky. Well, he is back to fight for his woman because he heard that after dating him, that drove her to dating white guys. And I'm like, okay, Junior, I don't know where you're getting all this energy from, but we're just going to let you roll with it. Also, like, I just have a question. In real life, is Rodney mixed? Like, is he biracial? Because, I don't know, something about when I look at him, I feel like he may have, like, some type of something mixed in there. But I don't think that he's full white. But whatever. Back to the moral of the story. Sky, she's not really giving Junior any energy, pretty much. Because she is kind of over it. She has her Rodney. Her and Junior were kind of just like a little, I wouldn't even call it a fling. It was just like a good time. And that was that. So, next thing you know, Luna starts to cry. And we all know Junior has a thing for babies. Hell, he was raising Devontae on Blackish because I promise you, Junior had Devontae more than all of the other adults in that entire show. Like, Bo never had to have her child because Junior had him. Andre never had to have the child because Junior had him. But that's a whole other story because that's another show. So, he's over here talking about how, that's a certain type of cry because she needs her diaper changed, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, so now we have Junior stepping in to help Nomi out because clearly she's tired. She is ran down. She needs some rest because having a newborn baby, that takes a lot of energy. So I guess he's going to, go upstairs. And now we're back to the guys, right? So Doug asks if it was like some homeboy on homeboy action because he's trying to see how far this little threesome went with Vivek, Heidi, and this other guy. So Vivek is like, oh, we kissed or whatever. So at this point, the guys think that he's bi. And I honestly feel like after watching this entire episode, and even though, Vivek, he talked about how he's not bi, this was just an experience that he had, I kind of feel like maybe he did enjoy it, but he couldn't admit it to the guys. And here's the only reason why I'm saying this, is because he talked about how this whole experience was so wild and it was so crazy, it was so much fun. But I feel like because Doug and Aaron kind of already placed that judgment once they heard that it was two guys, he realized that he couldn't go any further into detail of what happened with them because they were just going to judge him. And I feel like even if he did enjoy kissing this dude, he would never be able to admit it to them. You get what I'm saying? I feel because there's no way he was he was hype, ecstatically hype. This was such a great time. And then I feel like once he brought into the fact that it was two guys and a girl instead of two women and a guy, I feel like he kind of had to not check himself, but bring it down and be like, oh shit, you know what? This is not the crowd for me to bring this up with. I don't want them to judge me any further than they already have. So I'm not even going to bring that up. Because even later on, when he says, oh yeah, well, I kissed him and I didn't like it. But I'm also still questioning but I feel like he might have, but he's not going to admit it. You guys know what I'm saying? Let me know what you think about that. Because, at the same time, this is when the guys were going, back and forth with Vivek talking about how, oh, such and such makes you gay. Eating a banana in public makes you gay. Or whatever they were trying to say. Doing typical, terrible, toxic masculinity type things. But, yeah. I just feel like there was a point, once they start pointing out all those things, I feel like Vivek kind of, what's the word I want to use? He kind of tried to deny how much he enjoyed the experience, if that makes sense. But that's just what I feel. I feel like once he heard his friends kind of diss it and be like, wow, that's what you're doing. Cause they were very judgy. I feel like he just kind of wanted to leave it alone. And let's just shut this conversation down. So at this point, he basically walked off from them because he was pissed off, and he's like, you guys are being homophobic. And we then have a scene of Doug and Aaron. They end up going to the house and they're looking for Vivek because now this has become a group discussion because there's Vivek there, Nomi, Anna, and Jazz. So they talk about the situation, and Anna is like, okay, well, this is kind of gay adjacent, which I would expect for Anna to say that because remember, she had her conservative views and all these other things. So I'm just I don't know about Anna. But I did enjoy the fact that Nomi was there to call Anna out because it's girl, you wanted to kiss me in freshman year. Let's not play this game. So I will say this. Like I said earlier, Nomi is not one of my favorite characters, but for situations like this, I do like that she's there because she is a bisexual woman, so she can definitely have a better understanding as well as a better way of explaining to the people who clearly do not understand how sexuality works, so that they can get a better understanding. So, after she has called Anna out, Anna was like, well, I was drunk and being dumb. And Vivek is like, okay, well, I'm basically in the same situation. Basically saying that he was high and being dumb. But, Jazz, she's like, I don't see how Heidi can be into a man who's into another man. So Okay, I'm going to talk about what Doug says next, but I will say this. I'm going to be completely honest, there are women out here who feel like they cannot date a man who is into another guy. I mean, there's also men out here who feel like they can't date women who are into other women. Like, that's just a part of, I guess, who they are and the type of people that they're willing to date. I guess that still goes under the point of preferences. Not really sure how that fits into a category, but one thing that I kind of wish that, well, I guess I wish that they would have called it out, but I feel like this isn't exactly the show to do it, is the way Doug and Aaron acted. In some forms, I must say that it wasn't just they're just straight males who are acting like this. I feel like there's also a race factor in there. Like, I feel like they acted like straight men that are black. Like, I just feel like there's a certain way that sometimes straight men that are black carry themselves, like with the whole like pause and like stuff like that. Like, that is like a term that black people created. So they're actually moving like black people would, who don't fully understand how sexuality works. And, they're just used to being that men are with women or men are with men. I don't just feel like sometimes there are people who don't fully understand how sexuality works, as well as people trying things just to see if they like it. Like, you know what I mean? But yeah, back to the story at hand. Sorry I went on that tangent. So Jazz, like I said, she was like, I don't see how Heidi could be into a man who's be with a man who's into another man. But then Doug calls her out, and he's like, but you can mess with a cornball who just because he can run fast? So then here goes Jazz and her corny comeback. Y'all, her comeback was that he's the slowest one on the team. I said, Jazz, that ain't in your favor, baby. That ain't in your favor. You gotta come back a little bit harder than that. Like, I'm sorry, but first of all, the way that Doug had called him like a cornball and all that, I freaking love the accent, all of it. But when Jazz came back with, he's the slowest one on the team, I'm like, girl, you could at least got the star athlete. Come on. So, anyways, Nomi, she ends up calling them out. She calling everybody out because she's like, you guys are charting homophobic waters, and this is also toxic masculinity. So now, okay, so here comes Doug and Jazz with the arguing. So, because they have not resolved any of their issues, like, honestly, the main issue that this couple has is lack of communication. Because if they would have just communicated to each other, most of this could have been avoided, but I digress. So, he's like, Jazz, you over here, how do you ask for a break and then you smash somebody else? But then Jazz comes back and she's like, well, if it was the other way around, then this wouldn't even be a discussion, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I see where you're going there, Jazz, but you still asked for the break and you still slept with somebody else. Like, that doesn't exactly change the fact that happened. And also, Doug has a point of what guy is going to want to get back with the girl like that. But again, okay, here's my thing. Again, they operate like straight black men. Like, Doug is a straight black man, and he's operating like a straight black man would. Like, there are many straight black men who feel like if their girl cheats on them, they're done. They're never coming back. That's just, it is what it is. But then on the other hand, they can cheat, but they're expecting for their woman to stay. Yeah, absolutely toxic masculinity for sure. But I'm just saying that is really a black straight man's perspective for some odd reason. So after all this, Doug, he takes a seat on the couch and he's just like, because Jazz smashed that other dude, that makes her a toss. And first of all, the way that he said that, my mouth was open. Like, I could not believe that he said that. And she's like, and you saying that makes you a jerk, and she left. So, keep in mind they're arguing in front of all their friends. But, what he said was wrong. Absolutely. I don't feel like Doug should have said that to Jazz. But at the end of the day, I feel like he is going through the emotions of emotions. Because we don't know how many days it's been, but he just found out that Jazz was messing around. Well, she hooked up with some random track star or track runner, whatever, right? So, not only did she mess around with some other guy, he has seen this guy. He practically kind of met this guy. You know what I'm saying? I feel like that also changes the perspective, because if you go, mess around with somebody and he never would have known who this guy was, okay. But he's seen this guy. This guy goes to the same college as you. So he's going through the motions of emotions. Of first he was very hurt, and now he's angry, because when you think about it, anytime you have dated somebody and things don't go your way, the relationship don't work out, first you're hurt, and then you just start lashing out, saying stuff about the person. Like, let's be honest, I feel like most of us have been there, to where once you feel like the relationship is over, you be like, why was I with him anyway? He never did this and he never did that. Like, I shouldn't have been with him anyway. Like, you start going through these motions of anger within, why were you with the person, blah, blah, blah. So he's just going through the motions of emotions. I just feel like it was kind of like nature to try to throw a jab at her. It's wrong, absolutely. But I feel like we also have to take into consideration, like, his standpoint. You know what I'm saying? So after this, we see Junior. He is crashing Sky's date with Rodney. And like I said earlier, I feel like this could have been on a different episode, just because there's so much going on. The same way I feel like Nomi, that situation with her trying to get the girls to be like babysitters and the people who can help her with her baby, I feel like that could have been put into another episode as well, just because I feel like it would have been a great some great scenes in there if you could see her, trying to balance being a mom and trying to get her friends to help her out, and they keep dipping out on her. Like, I would have loved to see something like that, because like when we saw her, like, she like downed that mimosa. Like, she could be going through like postpartum, you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like hopefully they'll like expound on that, but we'll see. And then as far as like this whole Sky and Junior thing, like, I would have loved to see Junior pop up on Sky a lot more times than just this one time, but whatever. So, like I said, Junior crashed the date with Rodney, and he has baby Luna on his back, talking about how, because Sky used to call me daddy when we made love. I said, bye, Junior. Bye, Junior. Like, to this day, I really wish that Grownish would have been about Junior going to college rather than Zoe. I really love Yara Shahidi, but there's just something about Junior, that kid cracks me up. So after that, he basically left Rodney and Sky alone. And we get back to Vivek and the group. So Vivek, he has had it up to here. He is done with Doug and Aaron, and he puts them out the house. Like, he's like, y'all gotta go, because at a certain point you have Doug, he's like, it don't matter what he does, we still gonna love him anyway. And then Aaron, he's trying to go on about something, and Vivek is like, no, but you're not listening to how Vivek is saying that, you're not listening to how I feel. You're making this about you. And he puts them out the house, and I'm like, yep, it was about time for them to go. Like, you know what I mean? It was definitely time for them to go. So, y'all, this is where it get real good. Real good, okay? Jazz is in her bed. She's crying about what Doug said. And next thing you know, he's knocking on her door and he trying to apologize. Y'all, Doug, he tried to apologize. And he's like, he shouldn't have disrespected her like that. And now, he can't get the image of Jazz and the other guy out of his head, which is why I keep saying that he is going through the motions of emotions, because now he's like just picturing her with him, and that is heartbreaking. Like, let's not lie. Like, if you were to hear that the guy that you were in love with, or the girl you're in love with, is with somebody else, and you've seen the person, like, yeah, it's definitely gonna mess with your mind. Like, let's not act like that's not a thing. So, but she's like, listen, you're the one who brought up sleeping with other people. And again, I feel like what put that in his mind? Vivek. Listen, I really want Doug and Sky. And I keep saying Doug and Sky. I have no idea why I keep saying that. I need for Doug and Jazz to get other people out of their relationship. Straight up. Because if you go back and watch those old episodes, even though people swear that, you shouldn't, you can't blame other people for the choices that you make. Listen, that's cute and all, but peer pressure is a motherfucker. And let's stop acting like your friends do not influence a lot of the decisions that you make. Come on, let's be honest here. So, Vivek, he was the main one trying to get Doug to go out with other people, trying to get Doug to see whatever that other girl was. I don't even remember her name. Some girl that was hanging around Doug. He was trying to get him to go out on a date with her. He was trying to see if he was going to hook up with her. He's basically like, no, all because she's going to go run track, you need to be hooking up with all these other girls. Did that not happen? So I feel like that is what made Doug ask Jazz, oh, so could we, hook up with other people? Vivek put that bug in his ear. The same way I feel like Sky put the bug in Jazz's ear of, well, you could go out. You could go meet some new guys. You could hook up with somebody else. It don't matter, girl. Bye. They need to go ahead, get these other people out of their relationship. So now Doug is like, I should have never asked you for that. I'm sorry about that. And he says that he just wants to come there to say that he's sorry and that she didn't deserve what he said. So he starts to walk away. And then she opens up the door, you guys. Like, I don't think you understand. Like, if y'all could have saw me when I was watching this episode, I got so hyped when I saw this. I'm like, finally, they have a conversation, which they should have had like 4 episodes ago. And also, they're finally just, oh my gosh. You guys, we're finally getting Doug and Jazz back together. Kinda, sorta. Sorta, kinda. So, she ends up apologizing to him. And he's like, you have nothing to apologize for. And then he tells her that he loves her so much. And then they kiss. And then we already knew where this was going. And I mean, I can't lie. They make such a cute couple. Like, can they get back together? Like, in real life? Because I feel like, first of all, they had to have, they had to have dated in real life. But I need for them to get back together. Because, first of all, that scene was good. That scene was really good. And, I don't know, like, there's one part where Doug is like, you miss me, huh? You miss me, huh? And I was like, listen, Doug better stop. Doug better stop. Because I don't even think those were lines from the script. I know for sure those were not lines in the script. But we gonna roll with it. So, they are, making out, they're on the bed, all this stuff. And next thing you know, Doug looks over and he sees Ricky. And Ricky is like, oh, so you're getting my sloppy seconds or something like that. So like he said, all he can see is Jazz and Ricky. So now Ricky is popping up when he's like trying to hook up with Jazz. So keep in mind, this is just his imagination playing tricks on him, because again, he's still going through the motion of emotions. And he's like, you know what? Let's go ahead and keep going on this course. Let's stay the course because the break is almost up. I think he says like a couple of weeks left, and he gives her a kiss and he leaves. I believe he told her that he loved her, and then he ended up leaving. But I'm like, finally, this couple is on the right track. Like, I really wish that they would have had some more dialogue and conversation before all of this hoopla has happened. But I get it. They had to go through something. I do want Doug and Jazz to work because they were the only couple that we had on the show that, first of all, was an actual couple. Because I feel like Zoe was playing around. I don't count any of her relationships as real besides her and Cash. Because her and Luca, that wasn't really the best. Anna and her man, I don't really care about her and Hobby. So after that, who else is in a relationship? So, I just love seeing Doug and Jazz back together. I just want Doug to get it under control about seeing Ricky everywhere. You know what I'm saying? So now we get to Junior. He's telling Zoe that he's leaving. You know, he fought a good fight, but it's time for him to move on. And Zoe's like, you know, you'll find love. And I will say this. I did not mind not seeing Zoe. Because as we know, Zoe makes everything about her. But I mean, I feel like she should have been in that group conversation that they all had in the kitchen. But you know, whatever. No Zoe. We'll probably see a lot of her next week. Junior ends up telling Sky that he's like leaving. So Sky gives him a hug and it's like, you know, I like that you fought for me. Slide in my DMs sometime. I'm like, Sky, you have Rodney. What are you doing? So now we have Nomi. Now Nomi goes and talks to Aaron because she wants him to understand that he was wrong and his whole thought process is wrong. So now Nomi, now this right here is where I say, okay, Nomi, you in your bag, girl. So she pulls this little stunt. She uses Aaron as the example. She said, okay, so let's go ahead and break this down. You decided that you only date black women because you take pride in being this strong black man who only dates black women, right? And he's like, yeah, that's me. I'm like, yeah, okay, here we go. She's like, but did you not mess around with conservative Anna? Because let's call a thing here. Anna ain't black. Anna is Cuban, I believe, and she definitely stands for everything that Aaron is technically against for the most part, because like she's conservative. So he's like, oh yeah, that was just like a dumb thing that I did. And I'm like, yeah, it surely was, because it made no sense that the writers made Anna and Aaron hook up together, because it's not even like they dated. Like they literally smashed and passed. Like that's what the whole relationship was. A mess. So now that she has made that reference to him, I'm like, listen, you mostly date black women. At least that's what you try to put out there. You tried something out with Anna. I guess we can say that. It didn't work out. And then you went back to black women. That doesn't define who you are. So now he kind of understands, you know, that Vivek, he tried something new. It wasn't for him. And that's it. Like, he says that he's straight. Believe him, regardless of what it is. I mean, I wouldn't have minded. Honestly, I would not have minded if it was like, he was like, yeah, I don't know. I may be bi, I might not. Like, you know what I mean? Let him just be him. But if they want to make his character fully straight, that's great too. So, after that, like I said, he finally understands. And Doug and Aaron, they decide to come over to apologize to Vivek, right? So they say sorry, they basically boys for life. They give this man this cake. The cake says, sorry, you're gay. Now, no, this is not funny because of what is on the cake. As in, like, I thought that was funny. No. The funny part is that Doug is talking about, I think that the guy on the phone didn't hear me properly. Like, I was trying to say, I'm sorry we called you gay. I'm like, the thought process. Doug, the thought process. Like, I cannot. So, the crazy part is that, like, Vivek, he's like, you know what? I love it. This is the sweetest thing you guys have ever done for me. Like, I love their friendship. And also I love the fact that the guys, they realized that they were wrong. And, moving forward, they said that they were going to be aware of what they say. Thank God. And at the end of this episode, they always have, like, these funny moments. And you have the guys trying to drink a smoothie, right? With a straw. So Doug hit us with this line, y'all. It's so much easier with a straw. I'm like, first of all, Doug, you mean to tell me you was out here drinking smoothies just like putting your lip on a cup? Really? A smoothie? No straw for a smoothie. Oh, I can't. So now Vivek is like, all right, let's try the banana. Nope, not these guys. They dipped out on them. I don't know, guys. This was a really good episode. I enjoyed it a lot. I must say, though, like I said, I kind of wish that there were certain storylines in here that could have been broken off into another episode, because this one was really jam-packed. But we shall see what's coming next week. Let me know what you guys thought about the episode. Go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe to my channel, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.